Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Women Oracle and Tarot. And today I'm bringing you a pick a card reading on what makes your soul happy. So as per usual, I am going to place 4 card piles today. So a total of 4. You are choosing from left to right, and then use your intuition, see where you are guided, see where you are drawn, and that is your reading for today. So without further delay, I will place a picture up of your 4 card piles to choose from today, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so card pile 1, what makes your soul happy? So I feel card pile 1 that you have been through a period of what feels like grief, or might present as grief, or maybe you haven't even contacted it as grief, but that feels like very slow moving energy. So it feels like stagnation, it feels like things moving like molasses, things moving slowly, things not coming about as quickly as you desire, maybe even feeling like life feels harder. So it's like even picking up your feet off the floor feels heavy and feels tiring and feels draining and feels exhausting. Just getting up and out of bed and even getting to the fridge and doing all the things of life, they just feel particularly heavy, particularly more challenging, particularly more burdensome. Things just carry a lot of weight. It feels like, again, things are heavy. And this isn't like the kind of heavy that we hear all over the internet and in New Age spirituality on YouTube. This is like heavy, oh, it's bad and it's heavy energy. It's like, which it could be that, but you actually feel like it's hard to accomplish these things. What would have been no problem for you, say 5 years ago, some of you maybe 5 months ago, what would have been a hop, skip, and a beat, or a fanciful stroll, or a light tippity tap, is now like burdensome and heavy. And I just think you have grown sort of battle weary, life weary. Things have drained you for too long, not enough oomph, not enough excitement in life, not enough spark, not enough passion, not enough zest, not a whole lot to quote unquote live for. And of course you have things to live for, but you know, that's a saying where it almost feels like there is no reward. You know, there's no purpose, there's no outcome of your actions. And perhaps that's been part of the challenge for you, is that you were putting in so much work and doing all the things, and you were feeling good at some point, or on top of the world, or fancifully, you know, tip-tapping on rainbows. And you found that over time, nothing was paying off, nothing was resulting, nothing was coming about as a result of that. And or things just kept going wrong or sour or quote unquote badly, where it was like there was no reward. All the good things were taken away, or the things that you enjoyed somehow lost their zest. They somehow lost their shine. And so over time, it became the doldrums, like what's that saying? The blues, but there's another one, down in the dumps, where again, it feels like there's not a whole lot to live for. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Things don't work out anyway. What's the point? Everything turns out to be a disappointment. What's the point? This person goes, or that thing leaves, or this thing never happens, or this thing never results. Just forget it. So there might be a lot of disappointment here that has been on your path. Perhaps even a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow, perhaps love lost, or things lost, or dreams that didn't turn out. Things that you thought would turn out and didn't. So maybe you gave your heart and soul to a project, or to a vision, or to a dream, or to a relationship, or to a home, or something like that. And then time and time again, it didn't work out, or it never produced anything. And so there was this grief, this disappointment, and this giving up, this resignation. Just never mind. Just forget it. It's pointless. Nothing works out anyway. And so you lost your zest. You lost your shine, because life, in this case, it looks like that happened in life first, but then as a result, you lost your zest, you lost your shine. Now, of course, the name of this reading is What Makes Your Soul Happy. So, you know, for you, we're going to get there. And I think what you're getting in this reading, what I can feel, is sort of your next steps, like what's on the path from here to bring your soul into a place or a state of lightness and levity and happiness again. But starting out, we're getting that current energy of sort of where you've been, how it's felt, how things have gone, where to put it bluntly or simply, the lights just went out. Okay. Now I do feel like you're learning something through this. There is something through this, like when things feel heavy like that, it's like the antidote or the support is having some breathing room and some spaciousness in that grief and that heaviness and that sorrow, that feeling or that experience or that state of grace, where we can bring some grace into the crevices that are there and into the spaces that are already there, and support a little bit more lightness, a little bit more levity. So I don't know if there's a whole lot more to be said there. It's like I can explain it. I'm trying to see what kind of analogy or metaphor I could use for you, but I'm only getting one and I don't really like it, to be honest. But anyway, I'll do it because it's all that I see. But let's just imagine a jar, and it's a jar full of mud. And in this jar, it's just been compact, like full of mud, layers of mud, just density and sediment, and it's been compounded and compounded and compounded. And now it's this jar full of mud. So it's dark in there. Obviously, it's very heavy. It's full, very dense. If you were to have little eyes, like a little bug in there, you wouldn't see a whole lot of light. You wouldn't see a whole lot of movement. It would feel more than likely very heavy. And so when we talk about bringing grace in and bringing some room and some spaciousness, some breathing room in, it's like going into that jar and like poking a hole through it or digging through it a little bit just to open up some space. So there's little canals and caverns and things like that that bring a little bit more light into it, to sort of open it up. Another analogy is like when there's a home that is old, it's dilapidated, it's dusty, it hasn't been touched in 50 years, and someone goes and not only opens up the door, but they open up every window in the house and just open up the curtains and let light shine into the house again. So that's basically what we're getting at. We've gotten there. What makes your soul happy? That first step coming up and out of this season. There's this kind of lingering message of reassurance too. The light will shine again. The light will shine again. It's not forever lost. You aren't forever lost. It brings up emotion. You have not been forgotten. You have not been forgotten. It may appear that way. The lights may have gone out. This house may have sat here for a good 50 years, heavy and dense and dusty, but the light will shine again in someone or something, or you, but it does feel like someone. For some of you, you might end up with help, support, a friend, a lover, a partner, whatever, that helps sort of air things out again, open up the windows, open up the curtains, kind of pound the blankets and rugs out on the porch to get all the dust out. So for some of you, might be a person that comes in to support you with this. That's not going to be the case for everybody though. But ultimately it's saying the light will shine again. The light will come back into this home, this metaphorical home, but also into your life once more. You haven't been forgotten. And there was another message. Yeah, this lingering reassurance that, yes, while there was a time in your life that was very dense and very heavy and the lights went out, the light is going to shine again. And I almost want to ask, maybe there was a purpose to the lights going out for a time. I think there was a lesson there, or a spiritual lesson. It might have been learning to uncover or discover the light within. So turning on the light within or inside versus having to rely on that sun or that sunshine to bring in the light in the home. That feels relevant. There might be more here, discovering the grace within, like we talked about grace, discovering how to wake yourself up and support yourself up and out. But again, I did get that energy as well of someone coming in. So it might look and feel different for each and every one of you, but what makes your soul happy? It feels like light, zest, aliveness, brilliance, that experience of light and levity, and perhaps that's hope, faith, optimism, joy, exhilaration, exuberance. So those are the energies that perhaps your soul feels best at or most alive in. And the reason I feel that way is because since the light has been out for you, you haven't felt happy. You haven't felt joy. You haven't felt in your element or in the zone. I feel like your soul feels best and does best when there's a lot of light. So what this brings up to me too is, if you've been in a time in your life where there wasn't a lot of light brought into your life, but even physically. So if you lived in a home that was sort of in a basement, in a damp wooded area, or you didn't have a whole lot of windows and there was a way to let the light in, this is helpful and supportive for you. So if you can seek out environments and settings, both physically but also symbolically, that bring light in, that's going to be really important to you. really important for you. So you're waking up and you're opening your windows, or if it's too hot where you live, like for me, I live in Florida, the climate is not okay to just open up the windows all day. However, I have been opening them up in the morning and the evening when it's more of a temperate kind of temperature. But for you, this might mean as soon as you get up, the very first thing you're doing, you're opening up the curtains, you're opening up the blinds, you're opening up the doors, you're getting fresh air. This might look like more activities outdoors if you have a climate where you can do that. This looks like light in your life. So this might look like lighter steps, or even a healthier body, even a lighter body vessel, lighter foods, vegetables, more lighter activities. So again, symbolically or even physically, so it might be opening up the curtains, but I do feel like it's light people, light movies, things that bring ease and lightness and joy. And I feel like physically right now, for some reason, it's the most important, and I don't know why that is, but that feels most relevant. And you might also extrapolate that to other things like lighter people, lighter activities, lighter leisure things, et cetera, et cetera. So let's move on. Yeah, summer. That's what so you might not. When I say summer, some of you are like, what? That's not what makes my soul happy. But think of it symbolically, if not literally. We're talking summer. Again, lightness. We're talking aliveness. We're talking about the physical body. We're talking about, for some of you, this might even be like earthly pleasures, carnal pleasures, things like that are like of the body. Some of you might be more Taurus connected. It doesn't have that full Taurus vibe here, but just touching on that because it is a little bit in the periphery of that energy, because this feels really, really light. So it doesn't even have a whole lot of earth energy right now. This feels light and bright and zest and fun and joy and exhilarating, right? It feels very, very, very light, kind of like crown chakra energy, very, very sunshine. So the more you can bring that into your life, the more your body is going to thrive, the more your being is going to thrive. And we keep getting messages about the body too. So I feel like health is also, we do have a health card as well. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. You feel best when you are light. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to be light as in lightweight or like of a low body weight or something like that. Meaning you feel light in your body. You feel good. You feel alive. You feel confident. You feel like you can shine your light. You feel best in a certain state of health. If you're watching this and you're hearing this, and this is your reading, which you chose, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. You know what feels best for you when you feel best, when your body feels like it's at its best. And that's really when you shine. That's really when your soul feels on fire. That's what makes you happy, to feel light, to feel confident, to feel energized, to feel vitalized. That translates to a lot of joy for you. And I feel like sometimes you haven't even realized that or given that enough importance or emphasis, where it's like, you're like, oh, sure, health matters to me, but it's like essential to your being to have that level of health. It doesn't have to be that way for you. It doesn't have to be that way for everybody. Meaning like you don't have to be perfectly healthy in order to be happy, but in your particular case, for whatever reason, the way it's added up in your life or through your conditioning or over the course of your life, it is very important for you to have health, because that makes you feel vital and alive and energetic and energized, and perhaps more in touch with your body and more passionate, and it just helps you connect at that level. And so health is really important to you. It's sort of, again, the energy of summer, if not like the literal experience of summer, the energy of summer, of feeling healthy and fit and on top of it, and swimming in the water and going out on boat trips. Like, even if you don't do those things, the energy of those things, like your body feels best when it's fit, alive, vital, energized, etc. Okay, let's see what else we have here. There was a message when I pulled out your cards, and now I want it to come back so I can give it to you. Let's see here. Okay, so I think with what happened with your dark spell, the dark cloud that came over your life, that came over your world, whatever that was, a series of disappointments or seeming failures or upsets or challenges that just weighed heavy and compounded and then just left you in this state of grief or sorrow or disappointment or resignation, you've lost some faith, you've lost some trust. Hey, understandably so. You've lost some trust and faith in life and the universe to support you, to serve you. You've lost faith in the light, right? Like when I said, the light will return, it will come again once more. You have not been forgotten. You've lost some trust in that. But it's like You feel best when you can trust. You feel like you can thrive, like when you can just follow your heart, do the thing, make the wish, take the leap toward the dream. Like you feel best. So you know what a lot of this feels like? Oh my gosh, OMG. It feels like the full energy in the tarot. So if you're not familiar with the full energy in the tarot, go Google it, look it up, because it feels so youthful and innocent and spirited and not thinking about the consequences or where it's going to lead or how it's all going to work out or how it will all look or how it will all be done and if it can and if it will and if you could and what you need to do. It doesn't have any of that stuff. The Fool is all about taking the leap, leaping before he or she looks, he, she, or they looks. It's all about going for it, the dream, imaginative, following the heart, the passions, the pursuit of pleasure without it being something that's like you have to spell out or plan out or like engineer or manipulate. And it doesn't mean there's not a time for discipline. And I never want it to be like, oh, I give you this one-sided extreme advice and then you go like, you know, I don't know, assume you're winning the lottery and then waste all your money. Like, I'm never giving that kind of advice. It's like the energy of just, you are in the energy of the Fool where you're willing to try, you're excited to try, you're born anew, you start again, you're not too concerned about how it's going to look, how it's going to work, if it's going to work out, how it's, you know, all going to land and result and the outcome and all these things. That's the stuff that drains you. That's the stuff that sucks the light out of you. That's my dog walking through here. You work and operate best and the energy of purity, innocence, youthfulness, optimism, trusting that it's going to work out, not having an idea. Cross my fingers. You know, for some of you, it's like, I quit my job, I started my business, cross my fingers. You know, it's like that kind of energy where it's like, and again, I'm not telling you to do that, but those of you who have chosen this reading, you know what I'm talking about, where you've been in that energy before, and that's where you thrive, where you can trust. And I feel like that's kind of actually what zapped you and brought you into this dark spell, is because you stopped trusting after a series of disappointments and failures or challenges or whatever. And that's what sort of threw you for a loop and into resignation. It was because you could no longer trust. And so you were scared to make a move, scared to take a leap, scared to take a step, second guessing, double questioning, I don't know, and then you become sort of more fear-based, you're doubting, you're second guessing, you're questioning, and then the next thing you know, you've sort of looped yourself into confusion and uncertainty, and you don't know, and now you don't know what your passions are anymore, you don't know what you want to do, because now it's all uncertain and it's very confusing because you stopped taking action because you were scared. You see what I'm saying? How one version is just going for it, taking the leap, believing in oneself, not looking twice, not thinking twice, just going for it, taking the leap. And then the other version is second guessing, questioning, strategizing, wondering, manipulating, trying to engineer it. So it's very different energies. You do best when you can be in sort of naive. Ow, my foot fell asleep. That naive energy, when you can live more in that energy, you do best. Where your mind is at the forefront trying to control everything. Yeah, and so this is that intuitive trust or intuitive connection. And it feels more to me like a connection with God, Great Spirit, higher power, nature, life itself, the overall grand mystery, the intelligence, the grand design. It's like trusting in that enough to catch you when you fall, to provide that security blanket, to show up for you, to provide for you, to support you, even when you don't know for sure, even when you can't guarantee it, even when you don't. Who knows if it's all going to work out, that kind of energy, but you trust life to pick you up if you fall. Feel like you lost that trust. It was severed. It was disconnected through that time period of your life. And so that's what's going to want to be reconnected in order for you to live with more joy again, with more zest, with more aliveness. So card pile 1, what makes your soul happy? Joy, lightness, levity, opening up the windows and the curtains and the blinds, bringing the sun in again, letting the sun shine again, rebuilding your trust with God, life, Great Spirit, higher power, universe, so you can begin to be in that energy of just living even more naively, like it's a chosen path, but living more naively where you don't care or have to look up or research or second guess or question all of the outcomes and derivatives and consequences and potential this and potential that, where you just go for it on the front end. I'm just going for it. It's like literally you leap, you take the dive. It gives me that energy of someone who goes to the edge of the ledge and they just kind of cannonball and jump into that cold spring, and how exhilarating and alive they feel when they hit that water. Even though it might be scary, even though they don't know how it's going to look or feel or whatever, it's kind of that energy. That's what wants to come through for you now, card pile one. So card pile one, that was your reading. That's what makes your soul happy. I'd love to hear from you. Please do share your experience in the comments below. Do like, share, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on the socials, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you. All right, card pile two, what makes your soul happy? So card pile two, I feel like you are a very ancient soul, wise man, woman, wise person. This is very spiritual or shamanic energy, very connected, very earth energy. This is medicine man, medicine woman energy. You don't have to identify with any of those titles, roles, labels, or terms, but I'm trying to convey to you what kind of energy I am feeling here. It just feels very wise. It feels very connected. It feels very ancient. It feels very old soul. So what makes your soul happy, card pile two? It's what's the words? Or what are the words? It's like, because all I have is the energy at this time. It's like living true to the soul's path. It's so interesting though, because I even feel a lot of adversity, ironically. Like for some reason your soul, I don't want to say gets something from challenges and adversity, but sort of, where it thrives in, at times, what could be considered at the human or ego level, challenges and adversity, because that's where it finds its growth. Because it's almost like the shamanic path or the spiritual path is about growth, and there's a recognition there that growth primarily occurs, or has perhaps tended to occur on earth, or at least in your experience, from challenges and adversity. It's almost like, it's not like you would choose adversity and challenges. That's not what it is. It's that you recognize the wisdom or the gain in them. Like, it's not like your soul would say, you know what makes me really happy? Challenges and adversity. It's like your soul says, you know, there's a really beautiful and great experience to life on earth. And there are challenges and there are adversities. And yet, that's where most growth results. So it's like, this is what it is. It's like an appreciation for them, a recognition of them, of their value. I think that's much more articulate, as opposed to, like, again, your soul's not going out seeking adversity and seeking challenges, like a thrill seeker, but the opposite kind. It's like, there's a deep wisdom within you. And I want to have better words for it, because since I started, it's such an energy, it's a feeling, and I'm like, how do I actually convey this? Because it feels so settled and so grounded and so peaceful and so wise that it needs to say nothing. So card pile two, I believe you know this energy, and perhaps I could say subconsciously, for some of you who are like, I do not know that energy, girl, you are nuts. It might be somewhere inside, but I don't know it yet. There is a part of you that's very grounded, very still, very like the witness, like the mountain that is grounded and stands tall and quiet and peaceful, no matter what happens all around it, no matter what the humans are doing or the animals are doing or what the weather is doing, it remains still, powerful, and grounded. And that's sort of what I'm getting at, where it's like, no matter the adversity or challenges, there's an appreciation for what it brings. It does something for the soul, and I feel like there's going to be more here for you. And clearly there's a lot more. We haven't even barely touched on this reading, but I feel like there's more specifically at that point. It just hasn't landed yet. Yeah, it's like you want the growth. So it's like, maybe you don't want the adversity and the challenges, but you do seek the growth. And it's almost like, I'm willing to experience this because I recognize what results or what I gain as a result. So if I gain more self-love, or if I gain more understanding, or if I gain more compassion, or if I gain more access to or gain truth, or if I gain more wisdom, then so be it. It's worth it to me. This challenge is worth it to me. This adversity is worth it to me, because I recognize the gift that it brings. You know what it is? It's like such a deep wisdom that, I mean, I have a hard time giving words to it, because that's something I would imagine that's still being awakened within me. Like, I very much connect with this pile. I do know the energy very well, but the ego Errity, this identity that I operate with, would feel very blocked in this scenario, because I can access it, I can find it, I can contact it, but there's parts of me that doesn't like what I'm saying, right? It's like, oh, no, I don't like that. You know, no adversity, no chat, I've had enough, thank you. My serving, my plate is full, I'm all set. But there's this deep, all-knowing, all-penetrating wisdom. And it's almost like that omnipresent existence of God. This might be your experience of God. You as an extension of source, where you are still, you are powerful, you are present, you are witnessing, you are all encompassing, and no matter what comes and goes, this still point remains inside of you, and you have access to that power. And so, because that remains, everything else might change around you, but you also recognize it's temporary, because there'll be another change or another change. It might go high, then it goes low, then it goes left, then it goes right, then it goes right, then it goes left, then it's up, then it's down, then it's this. And so, but there's this still point within you through all of that, and recognizes, oh, it's just the forms changing, the forms taking shape. Like that still point, that part of God consciousness that's within you, that part of source or the universe or the omnipresent state of being, whatever that is, doesn't change. It's just the outside, the forms that change, right? So our egos might change, take shape, be molded into something different or new. Our life might change shape. We move from here to there, or we have a family, or we don't, or we gain a loved one, or we lose a loved one. All of that might be changing. The form will always change, the material changes, but the formless doesn't. It remains still and present and just eternally in existence, right? So there's some beauty here in terms of what makes you happy is this connection to your soul, this deeper wisdom, this deeper access to this wisdom, this trust, this all-knowingness, this beingness. If there could be better words for this. I'm sure there's a language out there. Someone's watching this who knows and is like, we have so many better words for what Errity is trying to say. By all means, I welcome them. But it's growth. You know, your soul values the experience of growth, whatever form it may take, because it recognizes the value on the other side, right? So let's see what else. It's like you're willing. It feels very sort of even that kind of feeling of Native Americans. So if you've ever known a Native American intimately, or been to a tribal land, or made contact in a deep way with Native Americans or a tribe or a Native people or indigenous culture or whatever, you kind of know that feeling, that energy, that wavelength, that frequency they tend to live on. And it's sort of like that energetic wisdom that they all sort of reside in, that's present with each of them. And of course, we can't stereotype. We don't know for sure that every single person who has Native American blood, operates this way. But what we tend to see, even in movies, even when it's far removed, when we watch a Western, but especially we've met one or them or many in real life, or been to a Native American ceremony or ritual or experience, we know that feeling. That's what I'm talking about. That's like the note I'm trying to strum here for you, where it's like, that's it. That's what makes your soul happy. That feeling of where there's like that deep trust in nature and God and the cosmic forces. It's like they reside in this deep trust where it's like, even if their towns have been taken by storm and horrific things have happened, there's a deep trust that they reside in, with most especially connected to nature, earth, the cosmic forces. A deep, deep, uninhibited, unadulterated trust that resides and presides no matter what. That's like the kind of energy that makes your soul happy. Something else I think you really like as a soul card pile too, excuse me while I get more comfortable, is you like seeing the fruits of your labor. And I don't mean just like, it could be literal, material related, where it's like you really like building something, whether it be Legos or a real house, and like watching it be built. But it could be something like building a life for yourself, or building a recipe book, but I also feel it's like watching the fruits of your labor in terms of your inner work, how you grow in relationships, how you grow in your purpose, how you grow in your awareness, how you grow in your wisdom. I feel like your soul is happy when it gets to see the fruits of its labor, when it gets to see how. It's so interesting because I could say achieve isn't even it, because I wanted to say achieve, but that's not like the best word to describe it. It has such like a pure, and that's not even it. I've had so much trouble articulating this energy. like this whole pile feels like honesty, feels like integrity, feels like groundedness, feels like earth, earth, earth. It's funny because we got different vibes from card pile 1. This is all earth. This is all connection. This is all trust, all knowing. But it feels very, very earthy, like integrity, honesty, wisdom. Your soul loves to see that it can make a difference, that it can make a change, that it can make impact. But when I'm saying these things, it's like I feel two different kinds of energies. I feel like the ego kind of picking up on those things and being like, oh yeah, I love that. I love making change. Or it becomes very ego driven. Nothing wrong with the ego. The ego is how we operate in this world. It's necessary. We want a healthy ego if we are to exist and thrive on this planet. So there's nothing wrong with it. But it's also being aware of how the ego can kind of like hold on to things or get really excited about things. And it's ultimately really not true. It's set up in this whole identity. You're trying to prove something or convince someone of its value or lovability or convince it to prove something to itself. Right? It's very different energy. And so it's interesting because when I go to share some of this, it's like almost like the energy wants to take away from that. Like it doesn't like the words that I'm using because it's sort of flaring up the ego as opposed to connecting with the soul, connecting with the deepest wisdom, the ancient truth. So it's very, very deep part of you, very, very deep aspect of you, very, very wise part of you that is timeless, that is eternal, that is all connected, that is all knowing, all wise. And so when I was saying that it likes to see the change or the impact, it was like, well, that kind of feels like ego, the way it's being described here. Where this is more like there's a beauty or a celebration in watching things grow. I'm trying to come up with the words. Card pile 2, forgive me. This is very rarely do I get stumped, to be honest. I mean, if you know my channel, you've watched it, you've seen 1,001 of these, and it's rare that an energy stumps me in terms of how to articulate it. But there's probably a language out there where it's a lot easier. I just happen to know only English. Let's see. Give me a second. Okay, so some other things that are landing and just taking a few moments here to sit with the card. There's still more, some things I can't access, and hey, I'm just being honest. I've tried to convey the energy as best I can, and I'm a little bit limited, but some of it's just sort of like watching your soul morph and change and transform over time, because the part of you that I'm speaking to is very eternal, again, all-knowing, very wise, and tends to be a part of you in each of your lives and each of those journeys and experiences. And so it's sort of been there, done that, seen it all. And there is a joy and celebration in the changes and the morphing and the transformations and the growth and watching its soul play out different identities or new roles or personas or whatever, and how it changes and how awareness soothes and softens parts of us or brings about edges or whatever's to other parts of us, and just watching that whole process and journey of growth and transformation. There is a gain in that for you. It's a I wouldn't even feel prideful, but not the kind that's like whatever. It's just like this pleased kind of experience of watching yourself grow. A lot of it feels connected to you and your own soul and your own soul's growth as opposed to other people's growth. And we get so much growth, so much transformation in this. Now we have shedding old skin. So again, this attachment or connection to growth, it being a huge part of your soul's emphasis, your soul's grand plan, what your soul is destined for and wants to do. It wants to see you change shape, shift, grow, morph, transform, change, and experience probably different flavors of life and different experiences. But it's interesting because no matter where you go, how far you go, up, down, left, right you go, you do carry this awareness, this wisdom, this sort of old soul, shaman, wise man, woman, ancient kind of energy with you that is very palpable. And I feel like people feel this around you. You're probably someone, you might not even realize it. Again, if you haven't contacted this, fine, but someone who probably has people get drawn to them. You're probably someone who can bring a room to peace. You're probably someone who would be a really wonderful facilitator or host or yoga teacher or something like that, because you bring a certain level of presence to the room that is just a part of you. So even if your ego identity or persona isn't something that it has cultivated or it has even worked for or any of that, this part of you comes with you wherever you go. It does have the energy sort of like this elder or this Native American grandfather kind of energy. again, this wise old woman, wise old man kind of energy. And I feel like you carry it with you. This might even be your higher self. The energy of your higher self feels very connected, earthy, oriented toward growth, desiring growth, yearning to see how certain experiences or whatever shapes not only the soul but the ego, and how it changes shape and form, because the soul does change. I feel like there's this energy here of, it's not just the ego changing throughout our life or lifetimes. The soul is actually changing, and there's a satisfaction in that for you, of being able to see the soul continually change, continually evolve, and continue to become more of itself through its experiences. Almost this awe experience of, how does it every time always come back home? How does it every time always find its way back home? How does it every time always find its way back to truth or to love? Like, no matter what happens, how bad it gets, how dire things get in this life, that life, or whatever, somehow, some way, it always returns to its original source, to greater wisdom, to deeper compassion, to deeper trust, to more connection. It's like, that's what results. And I think that's what you value, that deeper connection, deeper trust, deeper compassion. Did I say connection already? Deeper integrity, deeper wisdom. It always comes back to that. And I feel like, what makes your soul happy? All of those things. Your soul values honesty, integrity, wisdom, compassion, trust, connection. Values those things. And then it also values experiences, life journeys, quests, that bring about more of those things. Deeper wisdom, deeper connection, deeper trust, deeper compassion, that brings you back home to yourself, or deeper into truth, or an embodiment of truth. See if there's anything else that wants to come through for you. Card pile 2. What makes your soul happy? Oh, yeah, that growth, transformation, and change of, when we already said that. But recognizing, it's like the eagle viewpoint, recognizing, and I think this is what's pointing to, actually circling back around to the very beginning when I was trying to give words to something. I feel like it's coming in its own way, in its own time, where it's like the eagle eye vision, where you're able to see as an eagle why everything has to happen the way that it happens, or why everything happens the way that it does, or how it was necessary for this to happen, for this to happen, for that to happen, for this to result. It's just a much higher wisdom of things, to where you can trust deeply, right? It's so all-knowing. Again, the eagle eye vision, if we're focused on just the worm and the worm's viewpoint, things are going to look pretty sad and tragic, right? He dies, he gets eaten. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel very exciting. It feels a little bit, again, tragic. You're kind of like, what's the point here? But if we have the eagle eye view, we can see nature at a grand scale, and we're seeing majestic mountains over here, and the sun shining over here, and the birds flying and cawing over here, and then we see all the animals interacting below, and then we see the humans trading and finding beauty and sunsets and sunrises, and building gardens and connecting with plants and animals and nature, and right, and we see that circle of life. Whoa, what a beautiful, majestic viewpoint to have. And I feel like that's what makes your soul happy. Your soul, and this almost even for me is like, that's what your soul is. Your soul here has a grand viewpoint of everything, and therefore can trust in a very deep way, because it's not looking at those sort of variables in isolation, like war or starvation or disease or famine, or all the things we can kind of get caught up as humans, and kind of get attached to, or fear or whatever, and then develop distrust and disconnection, all those things as a result. When we're looking at it sort of microscopically, or we're looking at it just the one thing, it can again be disappointing, tragic, unfair, unjust. But when we have the greater perspective of all things, we can trust how it all works together and comes together and is woven together to result in this grand tapestry, grand mystery, great mystery of life, which is God, Goddess itself. And so, yeah, card pile 2, that's your reading. That's what makes your soul happy, or even who your soul is, what your soul is, where it thrives. And that's how you can find your soul. You know, if that's something that you're seeking, or you want more of that presence or energy in your life, you're going to find it in those areas. So card pile 2, especially because I had so much trouble articulating this, or just, I don't say I had so much trouble, but I really wanted to pinpoint it and nail it down in a way that I hope that I did, but maybe it wasn't bullseye. I'd love to hear your experiences, how it resonates for you or how it doesn't. Of course, do like, share, subscribe. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That is my goal here on YouTube. So I'd love for you to help expand this community. I'd love to hear your stories below, and I will see you next time. Thank you, Card Pile 2. All right, Card Pile 3, what makes your soul happy? So right off the bat, Card Pile 3, I'm seeing that you've been in a situation that you perhaps haven't been able to see your way out of. There's not a clear pathway, a clear solution, a clear way out, or even clarity on perhaps the meaning of the situation, but especially I feel like you don't have an full understanding of it and or a full grasp of the solution or how to get out. And so I feel like maybe your perspective is limited at this time. You don't have the answers that you need. Things aren't certain or as certain as they could be. They're not clear. You know, sometimes in life we go through an experience where it's like we just have a blindfold on. There's no knowing and there's no telling and there's no clear way out. It's total dark and it feels very confusing and perhaps even very disconnected. And you're just like, I don't even know what's going on right now. You might be going through an experience such as that, where you have been in a situation or a series of situations where that's been your reality. So I feel like that's been your experience as of late, where you are feeling limited. Perhaps things aren't working out the way that you want or haven't looked the way that you would like them to look. And you're not really understanding why or what this phase or season of life is, because it's like not paying off. Things aren't working out. Things aren't happening the way that you thought that they would, or the way that you sort of worked toward or expected them to go. And so you might just be feeling like sort of lost or confused, dazed and confused, like what's going on? I don't even understand. Like I'm at a loss. Like what am I to do with this? What am I to do with this mess? So I think it's interesting here for Card Pile 3 because, we're saying what makes your soul happy. And so far we're getting like a capture or a picture of where you are at now or energetically. We got a little of that for Card Pile 1 too, instead of like directly hearing right away what makes your soul happy, but eventually we got to answering that question through talking about what it was you were going through now. So if I were to surmise at this point what it might be, I feel like you like knowing, Card Pile 3, when you have direction, when you have a carrot, when you know where you're going, when you know what you're doing with your life, you know where you're headed. You might be someone who is driven, determined, mission-oriented. You might be someone who likes to be working for a carrot, who likes to be in a quote-unquote race. Maybe it's not an actual race, or maybe it doesn't have to feel like a race. But you like something where there's a finish line. You know that this project starts from A to B and it ends at B. You like knowing that you're working for something and there's a guaranteed result at the end. You like knowing that your work or your labor produces an outcome or produces something. You like knowing the purpose of things, that things have a purpose, or there's a reason behind things. You don't do as well with kind of the situation that we opened with, where it's like, I don't really know and nothing's working and nothing's happening and I have nothing to look forward to and I don't even know, right? That doesn't feel best to your soul. That probably feels very frustrating to your soul, or at least to your ego persona. It probably feels very frustrating for you to not have direction, for you to not have clarity, for you to not have a solution, for you to not know your way out. It probably feels very stifling and very confusing and very frustrating. So that might be where you have found yourself lately. If you have not found yourself in that energy right now, it might just be speaking to, this is the energy where your soul does not thrive. It does not like this. It does not like this at all. Sam, I am. But this is where your soul does thrive, when it has clear direction, when it can be mission oriented, when it knows it's working for something, and or that it does result in the carrot. Like you're not going to be someone who's going to be happy about, number one, not having a carrot, meaning there's no goal, there's no outcome, there's nothing to look forward to, there's nothing to anticipate or work for. It's just sitting here. Good luck. Enjoy the couch. I don't know what to tell you. Your soul's not going to be happy about that. It wants to move. It wants to transform. It wants to accomplish. It wants to strive, achieve, create something. It wants to have outcome. It wants to have results. It makes your soul is very happy in being able to produce something, and being able to contribute, and being able to accomplish, and being able to meet a goal. Like you feel really good when you're able to do that. And when you can't do that, you don't feel as good. And I feel like there's been a time here So it's either talking about the state when this does happen, or it's talking about a recent time where you feel like, your hands have been tied, or again, things haven't been clear. You've been in a rut. You're not able to produce something, or maybe you just don't even have the energy, the passion, the drive to care, or there has been no carrot, or even when you've worked toward the carrot, it hasn't resulted in a carrot. So you might have found yourself sort of in this stalemate or stagnation or in a rut, or again, that confusion, lack of clarity, and frustration where your soul just does not do your best. Number one, the first thing that's popping up right away before I even get to the rest of the cards is you can create your own pathway, create your own carrot. That might be worthwhile for you as a breakthrough, or at least to clear the path for now until additional information comes in, because this doesn't feel like it's just you. This feels like it's a timing in your life, or maybe in your soul's path or journey, where things are meant to be a little bit more dark or cloudy. Things are meant to be a little bit more unclear. And it could have something to do with your soul's journey and soul's lessons, but it could also just be, this might just be the way it is right now, and it just is what it is. Because there are times in life where we just don't know. And what immediately is coming up for me is like when a woman is giving birth to a child, the child is in the birth canal, and at that point in time, it's no longer in the womb. It's not safe and cozy and being fed and nourished and nurtured in the womb, where it's getting to know its mother's voice, or knows its mother's voice, and it's cozy up against its pillows, and everything feels soft and warm and easygoing, and it's just floating, and it's able to breathe, and everything is wonderful. But it's also not quite on the other side of the birth canal, where there's light again, and there's people who love this child, and there's a whole new world to explore, and there's a new beginning. It's like in the birth canal where it's dark. There is no light at the end of the tunnel yet. It feels pressured, and they're being squeezed. It doesn't feel very comfortable. It's no longer in the warm and cozy womb, but it's not quite on the other side. There's no clarity, direction. There's no carrot, right? And so those are the kinds of times in life where the lights tend to go out in a way, where again, it's not necessarily anyone's fault or anything's wrong or whatever. It's just that's just the way that it is, right? That's just part of that particular experience, and probably many growth processes. So that's like the wisdom that's coming through here around that, is that sometimes this just happens. It's a part of life, and it doesn't need to be like picked apart or given this big reason or purpose. Although sometimes there are reasons and purposes for things, and I know that's something that's important to your soul. But at the end of the day, those periods happen, and it's like, okay, so now what do we do with them? How do we respond to them? Your soul does best when it has direction, or has a goal to accomplish, or there's a mission, or it can do something with that. So if it's you creating your own silver lining, you turning this into a passion project somehow, you making this worthwhile, meaningful, or beneficial for you, you making lemonade out of lemons, like that's what your soul is going to be most happy with, is when it is able to create meaning out of maybe even a potentially meaningless or seemingly meaningless situation. Yeah, it's like during this time of shift, during this time of change, during this time of darkness or perceived limitation, or things aren't clear or whatever. We already talked about being able to create your own breakthrough, your own direction, your own goals, but also taking it less seriously, being a little bit more light about it. Like, it only bothers us when we take it really seriously, when it's like, oh my God, I don't know, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know what my purpose is, and I don't know how I get out of here, and what's going to happen, and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, woe is me. And when I get into all of that, right, of course it feels heavy, of course it feels sorrowful, or even scary, or confusing, or frustrating. But if it's just like, shoot, I don't know what's going on, I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy, and enjoy the ride, right? There's like one of two ways, or probably many ways we could take it, where it's like it only feels heavy when we make it heavy. If we're bringing a little bit more levity or lightness or humor to it, it's like, oh, shoot, I don't know what's happening tomorrow, but whatever. I'm going to enjoy it while I can, or I'm going to have as much fun, or make the most of it, or create some meaning for myself, or enjoy life as much as possible, or enjoy the rest period as much as I can right now. Right, those are some ways to approach it, to where we can glean a little bit more meaning or a little bit more joy from it, where it doesn't feel so heavy, and it doesn't feel so dramatic, and it doesn't feel so intense, or it doesn't feel so frustrating. It's like bringing some humor into it. As the changes take place, as the transformation is underway, as you're in the birth canal, not taking it so seriously, letting it be light, letting it be easy, and letting it be as it is, without it needing to be something, right? Again, because the more meaning we put on it, the more meaning it has, and then the more power it has over us. So we can dictate how much meaning it has, and we can give things, other parts of our lives, more attention. So perhaps something isn't working out in career, or something isn't working out in love, or something isn't working out in health. Okay, what else can you put your attention on? Where else can you thrive? What else can you cultivate and support right now? What else can you nourish or water? What grass can you water right now if a particular area is growing stagnant or not working out? And or how can you just simply make the most of it? In some of my work or even my courses, I call it suffering well. We can make the most of our suffering. We can build a life around our suffering. Suffering is more or less inevitable. It's something to accept in the human journey. It's not fun and it's not easy to accept. Nobody likes to accept it. And yet it is a part of our reality. So how can we engage with it? How can we work with it? How can we relate to it and interact with it to make the most of that experience? To experience more joy or playfulness or whatever. There's plenty of cultures out there that drum and chant and sing and dance and paint. And there's other cultures out there who drink and party and whatever. And so pick your poison or not, your medicine rather, and decide how you're going to make the most of this era, of this transition, of your time in the birth canal. And again, for some of you, it might not even be a birth canal. Perhaps it's just, again, it doesn't always have to have meaning. It might just be a period of your life right now where it really doesn't have to hold a whole lot of weight or make a whole lot of impact for you. And you always have the choice to give yourself direction, to give yourself a goal, to give yourself some movement if you're not finding it's happening in the way that you want right now. Okay, what else is here? Yeah, that you're being asked to stand strong in your power, to trust a little bit more in your own power. So even though you can't see, so it kind of gives me this energy of, let's say we're imagining the Buddha. So we know that he awakens under the tree, right? Like that's the story. Let's imagine him with a blindfold on, okay? So kind of like we opened with this reading where there's a lack of certainty, a lack of clarity, a lack of light, a lack of direction. Nothing's clear. You're in a time where that can be very frustrating for your soul specifically, who likes to have a goal or likes to accomplish or likes to know what it's doing or have movement or have payoff or whatever. And so let's imagine the Buddha has a blindfold on. More than likely, if the Buddha is the Buddha responds to life or to itself or just is the way that he is, whether a blindfold is on or not, right? Whether there's a blindfold on and he can't see nothing and it's completely pitch black and dark and there's nothing going on, there's nothing happening and he can't see it, total sensory deprivation. Or on the other side, where the blindfold is off and light, and his perspective is teeming with life and there's animals around and noises and other people and people coming to visit and greet. And so I had an unexpected visitor, but I'm going to try to back up to where I was, which is the Buddha is going to respond the same way, whether he has a blindfold on or has a blindfold off. He's going to still be Buddha. So that's the energy that you're being asked to call upon at this point or embody, where it's like, it doesn't, right? Please always know that when I'm giving you advice like this, you don't have to take it 100% seriously in terms of like radically or in an extreme way. I don't want it to be like, oh, well, now it has to be perfect or you have to embody this energy all the time or whatever. We're going to be human. We're going to have reservations. We're going to have frustrations. That's totally normal. Your soul feels best when it's mission oriented and goal driven. And if that's what you need, then go do it, baby. Do it up whatever way you need to. But the point is also being made here that in truth, you can embody the energy of, say, the Buddha or of your soul being happy or whatever that is, regardless of that condition, right? You don't actually require, so it's like paradoxical, right? Because yes, your soul is happiest when, or feels best when, and thrives when it is goal-oriented, has direction, has clarity, has movement, has solutions, knows its way out, knows what's going on, knows the purpose, knows the meaning, all the things. Yes, and you don't actually need all that stuff. You can be Buddha with and without the blindfold. So just like the Buddha is still the Buddha with and without the blindfold, you are still you. Your soul is still your soul with and without the carrot. Okay? So this is about practicing that energy, embodying that energy, cultivating that energy, that you are the same with and without this thing. And if you do want that thing, create that thing. Create the carrot, create the movement that you can, the clarity that you can, the direction that you can, and recognize that it's not ultimately, truly, actually necessary for you to thrive, that you can maintain this energy in both conditions and both states, especially if you're using humor, especially if you're not taking it too seriously, especially if you're not making this big, ugly, gnarly monster. It doesn't have to be the big, ugly, gnarly monster. Let me see what else is here. Now, the last note I want to make, and it's funny because we still have some noise and interruptions going on here, but I'm trying my best to finish the reading. Is I feel like the wool over your eyes is your own wool. I feel like in some way, yes, this might be a season of your life. Yes, it just might be a time in the birth canal or a time of darkness. But I feel like some of it is your own doing, where there was an energy here. It was almost like you getting, again, yourself so wrapped up in it, you getting yourself so wound up in it, you getting yourself so confused or more confused, making it a bigger thing than it has to be. So again, using that lightness, using that humor, because there is this energy of, if you've ever seen the Jungle Book, the original Jungle Book, the Disney movie, where the snake could do that weird hypnotizing thing with his eyes, and it would make the person kind of get hypnotized. And so they would kind of lose focus and lose themselves or lose clarity or whatever. And it's kind of that energy where it's like, yes, there might be this time in your life where you're being affected and things aren't happening or whatever. And because of your own putting so much meaning on it and making it very serious and making it a big thing and putting so much weight in it, it's actually a bigger thing to you than it really needs to be. So using a little bit more humor in that, letting things come and go, letting the seasons come and go as they do. The leaves fall off the trees and the leaves come back on the trees. Taking it all a little bit less seriously, enjoying the ride as much as you can, like just as much as we take the seasons seriously. Like after a time, we don't take the change from fall to winter to spring to summer very impactfully. It's like we might have reverence for it, or some of us might have hatred for it, depending on where we're at, what seasons we like or dislike, but we really don't make it the end all be all. Why? Because we already know it's going to change. So what are we going to put too much weight in this for? It's kind of that energy, right? Letting the seasons come and go as they do without making it mean some big thing, and standing your ground and holding your power and presence and being in the energy of that Buddha, regardless of whether there's a carrot or a mission or a goal or clarity or certainty or whatever outcome or carrot or whatever it is that you're used to. And again, you still can create that experience for yourself within these conditions if you so desire. So card pile 3, that is your reading. This is what makes your soul happy. I do want to hear from you. I want to hear your experience. Please do share it in the comments. Of course, like, share, subscribe. My goal for this channel is getting to 1,000 subscribers. So please do help me build this community and help this channel grow. And I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 3. All right, card pile 4. What makes your soul happy? So right off the bat, it feels like you are happiest when you're playing, right? When you can be more playful with life, when you don't have to take things too seriously, when you don't have the heaviness or the weight of a lot of tasks, obligations, or responsibilities, and or you can enjoy your tasks, obligations, and responsibilities when you aren't taking life too seriously, and instead you're enjoying life and what it has to offer. So you're being more playful. So even if you're not playing, right, we're not always going to be able to play, but it can be a playground, right? Life can be a playground. There's something to making the most out of life, being more playful, enjoying the ups and downs with life, sort of making it this big playground or this big obstacle course, as opposed to making it this big, heavy, meaningful, impactful, intense thing that life can be at times, or that tasks, obligations, and responsibilities can be at times. You do best when you're a little bit more carefree and you can lean back and let your hair down. So a part of this is too, if you are someone who is very successful and you have a lot of weight of responsibility on your shoulders, maybe you're a CEO, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you're a mother or a parent of a household and a family and just have a lot of tasks, obligations, and responsibilities. Create as much time, space, and opportunity in your world and in your life to let your hair down, to lean back, to be playful. So maybe that's you schedule 2 vacations a month. Maybe that's you schedule at least one spa day or one spa weekend a month, or a girls trip, or you're making sure to take time away from work and actual time off. So you're not answering emails and engaging in work communication. So, even if your life is one that has a lot of responsibilities, a lot of us can't avoid that. A lot of us can't say, okay, we're done, and just dip off and, go to another part of the world and say, okay, life is grand, but you can make your life one that is more playful. You can carve out space and time to be able to bring more play and enjoyment to your life, where you can rest, where you can relax, where you can let your hair down. So that's something that you can create and do in your life to bring that energy into your world, even if you're someone who is a leader or a business owner or a CEO or whatever that requires a lot of tasks, obligations, and responsibilities. Something that also is hugely important for your soul is taking care of yourself, taking care of your needs. So you might not realize it, but a part of what makes your soul happy, or what even allows you to be in a state of play or playfulness, is meeting your needs. So meeting your basic needs, your quote unquote biological needs, I say quote unquote basic needs, biological needs, emotional needs. So not bypassing yourself and just attending to your tasks, responsibilities, and obligations, right? Totally bypassing you and all the things you need to do today. It's like, no. Starting off with you as the foundation of your life and of your world. So card pile 4, you do best when you have first met your own needs so that you can more properly, or from a nurtured or nourished place, be able to then attend to your tasks, obligations, and responsibilities. So if you are someone who has a lot of burdens or a lot of responsibilities or whatever, you can attend to those best when you are first taking care of yourself. So that's the message that you're being given in terms of what makes your soul happy when you are first attended to, so that you can then do the other things that are important to you, as opposed to, say, bypassing you and your needs to be able to get to all the other things and never really coming back around to attend to yourself. Your soul is happiest when you are first attended to, and then you can actually do better and deliver in the other tasks, obligations, and responsibilities that you have, as opposed to perhaps them being subpar or feeling resentful or bitter when you do it, or not feeling like your best when you're doing it because you haven't also tended to yourself. Yeah, you feel best, card pile 4, being successful. So I feel like this is definitely the pile, especially because we've connected with obligations and responsibilities. This may not be the case for all of you, but this is the primary or majority energy for sure, that you feel best when you're on top of the world, on top of it, doing your thing, maybe even dominating, but dominating in your field, when you have things taken care of or addressed. So if you're someone at home who just runs but I don't mean that, so I put in quotes, who runs your household, that counts, that matters. That would be a leadership kind of position as well that it's speaking to. So when we're saying success, it doesn't just have to be typical corporate financial kinds of success. But I feel like you are that kind of person. You like feeling like a leader. You like feeling successful. You like feeling like you're hitting all the marks, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. But same thing in your house, where things are taken care of, right? Things are addressed. Food is on the table. House is clean, mouths are fed, again, dotted I's, crossed T's. You feel best when you're successful, whether it be the domain of home, career, purpose, passion, whatever. You feel best when you are successful. You feel happiest. Your soul feels happy when it feels successful, when it feels like it has accomplished what it has set out to accomplish. I feel like you also feel best as a soul when you can be or apply your visions, your dreams, your imagination. So it has that visionary quality. So you might be someone with creative ideas or original ideas or certain ways to do something, or alternative ways to do something. You might be someone at work who has, the alternate voice in the room, the person who's going to say the off the wall thing or the unusual thing. Where, you feel best, you feel like you thrive when you can be creative. So I feel like this is also speaking to not just being a doer, not just being a laborer, not just getting things done, but when you can apply your ideas, when you can share your ideas, when you can contribute your ideas, when you can get creative, when you can explore your creativity, when you can explore your gifts. So perhaps, again, not just being all about the labor, the work, the doing of the things, attending to tasks, obligations, and responsibilities, but also having the chance to be creative, having the chance to attend to your dreams and your passions and your passion projects. So if you love to dance, you get out there and you get to dance. If you love to paint, you have time to paint and explore painting. If you love to garden, you're getting out there to garden. So you're very much, you're someone who thrives when you're able to explore that part of yourself, to apply that part of yourself, to experience that part of yourself as well. It's not all work, right? All work and no play makes Jack or Jane a dull boy or girl, right? So there's some play in there, there's some passion in there, dreams in there, applying other parts of yourself, experiencing other parts of yourself, even contributing other parts of yourself than just the nitty gritty, the same old thing, showing up to work every day to do the 9-to-5 thing, or showing up at home every day to do the home everyday thing. I feel like just those things would lead you to be sort of feeling sterile, boring, dry, stagnant, you definitely need some life infused into your being, into your life, into your world. And that life is going to come from your creative force, your creative energy, the things that you love, the things that turn you on, the things that emotionally move you, the things that excite you, the things that bring you a thrill, the things that feel good, taste good, right? We could say pleasure. So passions, dreams, pleasure, art, creativity. We could say sacral chakra stuff, things that move your body, dancing, singing, those things are bring you into your body, even painting or gardening, being out in nature. Those are the kinds of things that are really going to sort of drive you wild, right? That are going to make your soul happy. Yes, you love being successful. Yes, you like getting ish done. Yes, you like attending to all the things. Yes, you like dotting your I's, crossing your T's. House is taken care of. Ish is taken care of at work. You're the boss, okay? And you like enjoying things just for the enjoyment of them. You like putting your feet up, letting your hair down, having a good time, and letting yourself do that is important, because you might not be someone who always does or even prioritizes it, because we saw earlier that you might be someone who tends to sort of maybe not operate in overdrive, but totally bypass you, your pleasure, your enjoyment, your experience, just to get to the one ABC, 1, 2, 3, bada bing, bada bang, done. Pass out, start all over again. That's not going to be a life that you're going to enjoy. That's not going to make your soul happy, card pile 4. Your soul wants to feel alive, wants to feel in its body, wants to enjoy the flavors of life, the colors of life too, just like everybody else. And it's important for you to access that creative side, especially, right? And all the different ways that creative juice can flow. Okay, what else here? Yeah. Okay, so more things that make you happy, card pile 4, is definitely bringing in the magic of life, the mystery of life, your intuitive connection, your spirituality, your spiritual connection, your spiritual gifts. So you're someone, card pile 4, is, again, while you might tend to prioritize, or the nature of your life and your work expects you to be on demand all the time, to do the things, to answer the call, to write the thing, to respond to the child, whatever it is, your soul is happiest too when there's some spiritual connection. There's a deeper connection to life, to the cosmos, to spirit, to earth, to all that is. When you do have this connection to a higher power, to your intuition, to the mystery, to your magic. And that's going to look different for everybody. But this feels very ethereal. This feels very Empress energy, witchy kind of energy, even Celtic kind of energy. If you're familiar with Celtic energy, if you're not, I would look up and Google that, because it feels Celtic in nature. It feels very earthy, witchy, herbal, connected in that way, in the body, in the earth, of the soil. And it has that energy, but again, under the light of the full moon kind of energy, dancing around a fire kind of energy. So you're someone who also thrives in that too. So perhaps, if that is something that can or has gone missing at different points in your life, that's probably something that would want to be infused back into your life, so that you can feel your best, so that you can thrive, so that your soul can be happy. When you're connecting to your spiritual side, to your spiritual magic, your spiritual gifts, sharing your spiritual gifts, sharing your spiritual magic, your wisdom, whatever that channel is for you, that's what you want to connect with. That's going to be important for you. And intuition. And finally too, and I'm sure more will come up here, but love is important to you. I feel like so much is, perhaps card pile 4, like it doesn't feel so intense, dry, sterile, stagnant. Like it doesn't have this huge, like most of your pie is like dry, sterile, stagnant of your life. But it does feel like you can tend toward overdoing, tend toward hyper responsibility, tend toward hyper independence, or at least focus, and just getting things done and just accomplishing the daily tasks of life and getting what you need to done to, like, dot your I's, cross your T's, pay the bills, and put food on the table. But it's like, that's not all of who you are. So much more part of you. You're much more colorful, vibrant, multi-dimensional, and magical being than is given expression when you're just focusing on work. All work, no play, all tasks, no pleasure, all drive, no deliciousness. It's like, your soul's not going to be happy. You thrive in a place of love, of giving love, of being love, of embodying love, sharing and receiving love. This does feel like it could also have kind of that Venus kind of energy of beauty and pleasure and romance and fun in that way. But it feels like just love in general, of being able to, again, share and experience love, loving with your family, creating opportunities to create and share meals together, or vacation and experience, things like trips and vacations together. Carving out the time to make sure you're having that quality time and well-being, or whatever that is, quality of life with the people that you love. So you are experiencing that at dinner or at breakfast, right? You're carving out the time to make sure you have present time with them or quality time with them. So love is important for you, to feel that sense of love. And if love has gone missing, right, meaning you're just going through the motions and it feels robotic and it feels dry and it feels sterile, then these are the elements that are missing. I feel like that's really what this whole reading is pointing to. Card pile 4 for you. It's that playfulness, the magic and mystery of life. It's taking care of yourself, remembering to honor yourself, your desires, your pleasure, your passions, your interests, your creativity, what emotionally moves you and fulfills you, what turns you on, what makes you come alive, what makes you feel good. It's remembering to come back to that, and it's remembering to prioritize that. And it's knowing that, yes, you love success, and yes, you love the thrill of accomplishment. Yes, you love the thrill probably of money or success, or even that Capricornian, Saturnian kind of energy of being on top, doing the things, being the boss babe or the leader or the successful CEO. All those things are important to you too. And that alone won't cut it, won't do it. Like, that feels good. It's something that you want to be a part of your life. That's like a sun-shining day for you. Excellent. And because I feel that energy, I feel you really come alive and light up and beam with that. So that's awesome. But it's saying don't make that the sole priority, to where these other aspects of yourself, your life, your expression aren't also honored, right? Aren't also expressed, to where your imagination is shelved, your creativity is silenced, to where love and all the versions and forms and experiences of love are shelved or quieted or go dormant, to where you're not also experiencing your spiritual connection, your spiritual nature, and what's the term? When you go naked and swim in the water, there's a term, I don't know. But anyway, where it's like you're able to kind of live in that experience, because for some reason that felt connected to the spiritual nature side, or the wild woman side. You could also be, of course, a man watching this, or a they watching this. It doesn't have to be like you identify as any one or the other, even though I share certain things because I'm a woman and that's my experience. You have to apply it to your experience, right? I try to give examples as to what pops into my mind or what comes out of my mouth. But yeah, love, beauty, connection, nature, spirituality, magic, creativity, exploring with the body, exploring love, exploring other people, quality time, letting your hair down, enjoyment, pleasure. All of those things are the kinds of things that make you happy, card pile 4. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, the final message being, if there has been a stalemate in your life, or a season of quote unquote winter in your life, if things have grown dormant, stale, stagnant, this is why. So card pile 4, this is like your compass that's saying, if it has felt like winter, if it has felt cold, desolate, dead, this is why. It's because these flavors of life, this richness of life, these colors of life haven't been fully watered, right? So we get what we water, right? We've heard that saying, the grass is always greener where we water it. So where are you watering it? If you're only focused on accomplishing the daily tasks, getting things done, putting food on the table and paying the bills, and then some, and then just, yes, feeling good on your crown, on your throne because you've taken care of all the things and you're feeling successful, okay. But if you're sitting alone at night and just having a wine at the end of the day, having accomplished everything, is that the life really that you've wanted for yourself? Are you truly happy? And it's saying no, because what makes your soul happy is all of these other things: more play, more joy, more enjoyment for the joy of it, and all of these other sort of sacral chakra kinds of experiences. So card pile 4, that is your reading. Please do let me know how this lands for you. Share your story in the comments. Of course, like, share, subscribe, check me out on the socials. My next goal is getting us to 1,000 subscribers. So every like, share, and subscribe counts to get us there. I thank you, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 4.